Very good morning, students. In the last class, we have discussed about the biome, what are the different types of biomes and their characteristics, everything we have discussed. So, in this class, we are going to discuss how the animals are response to the abiotic factors. We already discussed about the abiotic factor, different types of abiotic factor, how they influence the living organism, everything we have discussed. But here we are going to discuss how the animals are response to the abiotic factor. So based on the response of the animals to the abiotic factor, there are different types of response are observed in the animals. So, what are all the different types of response? The first response of the animal to the abiotic factor, which is collectively called as the regulate. It means the animals are able to maintain the homeostasis, or we can say the body temperature and osmotic balance are presence in the, what we can say, there will be no more change. It is constant. Which one is constant? The body temperature, ionic and osmotic balance, everything is constant. That's why the type of response is called as the regulate. Okay, everything will be in the constant form. Even though the outer temperature is changing continuously, the innermost body temperature and other important physiological characters are constant. So, such type of response are called as the regulate. Coming to the second one, which is called as the conform. So, here it is just opposite to the regulate, because the internal body temperature of the animals is constantly changing. It is constantly changing according to the surrounding environment. So, such type of response of the animal to the abiotic factors are called as the conform. Okay. They also called as the conformers. The animals involved in this particular thing is called as the conformers. Okay. Now coming to the third one, it is a migrate. You know very well about the migration, isn't it? Usually migrations are seen in the birds. Some of the birds are migrate from the a stressful habitat to the new habitat. Whenever their habitats are very stress due to the high climatic changes, that birds are started to migrate from their original location to the some other location. Once the favorable conditions are returned, the birds are again returned to their natural habitat. So such type of behavior, which is called as the migrate. One of the good example is here they are given the birds which is migrate from the Siberia to the Vedantangal in Tamil Nadu to escape from the severe winter periods. Because the Siberia is full of cold. So in order to prevent from the winter, higher winter season, that birds are migrate from the Siberia to the Vedantangal. So such type of response is called the migrate. Suspend. So from the word itself we can say the animals are become inactive in some condition. Inactive means their metabolic rate, their activity, everything is become inactive. So this type of response of the animal to the surrounding abiotic factors are called as the suspend. Usually the suspend can be divided into two forms. One is the hibernation, another one is estivation. Hibernation is nothing, it is a winter. It is taking it is taken place during the winter season. So the animals become inactive and they undergoes to the deep sleep So such type of behavior is called the hibernation. In case of estivation, the animals are become inactive due to the surrounding higher temperature. Due to very hot summer, the animal cannot tolerate. So in that time, the animals become inactive. So such type of behavior is called the estivation. So the hibernation and estivation are the two important types of suspend, a type of response to the abiotic factor. So these are all the different types of abiotic factor. Sorry, this type of some of the behavior or response to the abiotic factors. Okay. So that's all about that, and now we move on to the another topic that is called the adaptation. We already know, isn't it? All the animals and plants having their own adaptation to prevent from the stressful environment. That is only called as the adaptation. So usually there are three different types of adaptations are seen in the animals. So what are all the different types அப்படின்னு பார்க்கும்போது we can say the first one, we can say it is a structural adaptation. The first type of adaptation, we can say it is a structural adaptation followed by the behavioral adaptation, and the third one is the physiological adaptation. So three different types of adaptations are seen in the animal. First we are going to discuss about the structural adaptation. So in the structural adaptation, the animals, the external and internal structure of the animals are help the animal to adapt to the surrounding climatic conditions. So such type of adaptation. So changes in the structure in the animal will make the animal to be comfort in the particular environmental situation. So such type of adaptations are called structural adaptation. Some of the good examples like some of the mammals are having the thicker fur. The body of the mammals are having the thicker fur. So what is the uses of the fur? To prevent the animal to be freezing from the surrounding environment. You know about the polar bear, isn't it? The polar bear is contain the very thick fur, so that way that polar bear can survive in that particular very deep winter season. எவ்வளோ கோல்டாக இருந்தாலும் அதை என்ன பண்ண முடியுது, உயிரோடு இருக்க முடியுது. Some of the animals having a type of adaptation called the crypsis. Actually, what is the meaning of the crypsis? The crypsis is also called as the camouflage. Camouflage means the animals is become change their body and their color, everything according to the surrounding environment. For example, இந்த கெமிலியான்னா வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அதோட கலர் எந்த இடத்துல உட்காந்துருக்கோ அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி மாறிக்கும் இல்லையா. So such type of change in their color and their body structure, everything. So that's why they are given some example like insects and chameleons, which having some what we can say, they can change according to their environment surrounding. So such type of behaviors are called as the cryptic animals. Like that way, the horse பார்த்தீங்கன்னா வந்து அதோட லெக்ஸ் வந்து இட் இஸ் சூட்டபிள் ஃபார் த ஃபாஸ்ட் ரன்னிங், எஸ்பெஷலி இன் த கிராஸ் லேண்ட். ஸோ these are all the some of the structural adaptations are seen in the animals. Coming to the second type of adaptation called the behavioral adaptation. I already told you there are two important and behavioral adaptation we already discussed. Number one, we can say it is called the migration. We already discussed about this type of adaptation, isn't it? So I already told you the migrations are seen in the birds in order to avoid the stressful conditions. So the birds can be migrate from the one place to another place to avoid the stressful environmental condition. And another important behavioral adaptation is called the courtship. This is somewhat different. So courtship is a set of behavioral pattern to find the mate and reproduce. So for the reproduction, this courtship behavior is seen in the animals. And the last one is the behavioral adaptation in the nocturnal animal. Do you know what is nocturnal animal? The animals are active during the night time. So such animals are called the nocturnal animals. So some of the nocturnal animals are remain underground or inactive during the daytime. So these are also one of the modification because their feeding pattern and their other patterns are changing their behavior, isn't it? So these are also comes under the behavioral adaptation. And finally we move on to the physiological adaptation. I already we already discussed about the one of the two well-known physiological adaptation, which is called hibernation and estivation, isn't it? What is hibernation? It is a winter sleep. What is estivation? It is a summer sleep. Yeah. So during the high winter season, the animals are become inactive. They involved in the hibernation. During the higher hot summer, the animals are become inactivate and they become inactivate, and that particular phenomena called the estivation. So these are all the two important well-known physiological adaptations are seen in the animals. Now, ஸோ இந்த ஃபிசியாலஜிக்கல் அடாப்டேஷன்ஸை வந்து ரெண்டு கேட்டகரியாக பிரிக்கலாம். ஒன்று வந்து அடாப்டேஷன் இன் தி அக்வாட்டிக் அனிமல்ஸ் அண்ட் அடாப்டேஷன் இன் தி டெரஸ்ட்ரியல் அனிமல். ஸோ let us learn what are the important physiological adaptations are seen in the aquatic animals. Examples like fishes, crabs, and many aquatic organisms. Number one, in case of fishes, you know very well that fishes are contain the different types of fins, like the pectoral fins, dorsal fins, which is act as a stabilizers or balancer. When they are swimming in the water, these fins are used for the balancing. And also the caudal fin. இந்த ஏரோப்ளைன்லாம் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா காடல் வச்சுருப்பாங்க, காடல் டெயில் மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஸோ வாட் இஸ் த யூசஸ் ஆஃப் திஸ் காடல் ஃபின் இன் திஸ் அக்வாட்டிக் அனிமல், எஸ்பெஷலி இந்த ஃபிஷஸ் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, விச் இஸ் யூஸ் டு சேஞ்சிங் த டைரக்ஷன் ஆஃப் த பர்டிகுலர் அனிமல். ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் ஒன் ஆஃப் த important adaptations are seen in the aquatic animals. Coming to the second one, that is the arrangement of the body muscles. ஃபிஷஸ்லாம் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மயோட்டோம்ஸ்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. The body muscles are called the myotomes, which is very much useful for the animal for their locomotion. Like that way, the streamlined body of the particular fishes, which is used for the swift movement. ஸ்விஃப்ட் மூமெண்ட்னா அது என்னென்னா, அதோடய டைரக்ஷன் வந்து அது ரொம்ப ஃபாஸ்ட்டாக மாற்றிக்கிட்டே இருக்கும். எந்த இடத்துல ப்ரிடேட்டர் வருதோ, எனிமீஸ் வருதோ, அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி என்ன செய்யும், it will change their direction very fast. So such type of movement only called the swift movements. Coming to the respiration, the fishes are having the gills. Instead of lungs, the fishes are having the gills for making use of the gases in the dissolved water. Presence of the air bladder, which is present in the fishes for their buoyancy. தண்ணியில் ஈஸியாக மிதக்கிறதுக்கு என்ன பண்ணுறது, அந்த ஏர் filled bladders are useful. Presence of the lateral line sense organ. ஃபிஷஸ்லாம் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அதில் வந்து லேட்ரல் லைன் சென்ஸ் ஆர்கன்ஸ்னு இருக்கும். ஸோ எந்த டைரக்ஷனில் அதுக்கு எனிமீஸ் வந்தாலும் அதால் வந்து it can easily detect. And also which is very much helpful in the echolocating the objects in the water. என்னென்ன இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் ஆப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ் தண்ணியில் இருக்குது, நைட் டைம்லலாம் வந்து கண்டு தெரியாது ஃபிஷ்ஷஸ்க்கு. அப்போ அந்த ஈகோலொக்கேட்டிங் அப்படின்ற அந்த ஒரு ஃபினாமினா அது வந்து என்ன பண்ணுது, யூஸ் பண்ணுது. அதுக்கு எது அது தேவைப்படுது, தட் பர்டிகுலர் ரியோ ரிசப்டார்ஸ் விச் இஸ் ப்ரெசன்ஸ் இன் த லேட்ரல் லைன்ஸ் ஆர்கன்ஸ் ஆஃப் த ஃபிஷஸ், விச் இஸ் யூஸ் டு லொக்கேட் த ஆப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ் இல்லையா. அதே மாதிரி சம் ஆஃப் த animals having the rich mucus glands in their body to protect it from the what we can say decaying of, because they are always in the water, no. So in order to prevent from the decay, that mucus glands are useful. And finally it can easily maintain the water and ionic balance with the excretory structures. So these are all the some of the adaptations are seen in the aquatic animals, and let us go what are the important adaptations are seen in the terrestrial animals. For example, in case of the earthworm and the planaria, they can secrete the mucus. So with the help of the mucus, they can easily go into the burrows and they can involve in the respiration. Respiration of the earthworm usually takes place through the mucus producing glands. Skin வழியாக தான் நடக்கும் earthworm. Upon the mucus glands are useful for the respiration. In case of arthropod, the external coverings are well developed and also they having the well developed tracheal system. There is no lungs or any other special respiratory system. So instead of lungs, the tracheal system in the insects like cockroaches, which is helps them to respire. Coming to the skin, in case of the vertebrates, the skin which is contain the well protected respiratory surface that is helps in the preventing of the loss of water. Skin. So that is about the adaptations are seen in the terrestrial animals. Some of the animals, some of the adaptation they are here, they are given. Some of the animals are obtain their water requirement from the food. ஃபுட்டை வந்து ஃபுட்லேருந்து என்ன செஞ்சுக்குவோம், தண்ணியை வந்து எடுத்துக்குவோம். சம் ஆஃப் த அனிமல் பிகாஸ் தே ஆர் ஆல் டெரெஸ்ட்ரியல் அனிமல்ஸ் இல்லையா. வாட்டர் ஸ்கார்சிட்டி வந்து இட் இஸ் சான்சஸ் ஆஃப் வாட்டர் ஸ்கார்சிட்டி இஸ் மோர். தட்ஸ் வை the animals are having some adaptations to absorb the water from the food. So that is also one of the good adaptation. In case of the birds பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அதோடைய அந்த நெஸ்டிங் அந்த ப்ரீடிங்லாம் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா they can complete before the rainy season because that time there will be a plenty of food. But during the drought time அது வந்து ரொம்ப ரேராக தான் ரீப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணும் பேர்ட்ஸ்லாம். ஏன்னா அந்த டைமில் வந்து தண்ணி கிடைக்காது, ஃபுட்டு வந்து எதுவுமே கிடைக்காது. So the birds can complete their nesting and breeding before the rainy season. That is also one of the adaptation. Finally, in case of camels, we already discussed about the adaptation of camels in the 10th standard, isn't it? So they can cool their body with the help of the skin and the respiratory system. இவ்வளோதான் அது ஹார்ட்டில் இருந்தாலும் கேமல்ஸு they can easily cooling their body with the help of the skin and respiratory system, and also in order to dehydrate அதோடைய அந்த யூரின் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா it is highly concentrated urine. It means the urine with a less amount of water. That's why they are calling it is a highly concentrated urine. So these are all the some of the adaptations are seen in the terrestrial and aquatic animals. So that's all about the adaptations. I think it's enough for the today's class. So by the next class we will learn the remaining topic called the populations, and we will complete this chapter. See you all in the next class. Thank you.